Ever feel like your mood's totally hijacked by someone else's bad day?
Oh, tell me about it.
Right. Well, get this. Today's deep dive is all about that we're talking stress, brain power, and ancient wisdom all rolled into one.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. And it's with the amazing Dr. Tara Swart.
Oh, I know her work. Neuroscientist, MD, business consultant. How does she do it all?
Seriously, she's like the ultimate overachiever, but in the best way possible.
Definitely. So what are we digging into?
Well, one of the things that really blew my mind was this whole idea of stress being contagious. Have you heard that thing about women who live together and their cycles syncing up?
Oh, yeah. Like everyone swears it's true.
Right. I always thought it was kind of an old wives' tale, but Dr. Swart says it's actually scientifically proven.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Apparently, it all comes down to pheromones, these invisible chemical messengers that we're constantly sending out.
Interesting. So we're basically like walking mood rings,
Yeah.
affecting everyone around us.
Exactly. And get this, it's not just our periods that are syncing up, it's our stress levels too. Dr. Swart says we literally ooze out stress hormones, especially cortisol.
Cortisol, as in the thing that gives us those awesome late night cravings.
Yes, the one and only. Apparently, when we're stressed, we're basically emitting these invisible cortisol clouds that everyone around us can pick up on.
No wonder I feel so drained after being around negative people. It's like they suck the life right out of you.
I know, right? But here's the kicker. It's not just about feeling drained. Excess cortisol can actually lead to weight gain, especially that stubborn belly fat.
Oh, great. Something else to blame on stress. But seriously, is that why it's so hard to lose weight when you're stressed?
It's a big part of it. Cortisol basically tells your body to hold on to fat, especially around your midsection. It's like a primal survival mechanism, like your body thinks it's in fight or flight mode and needs to store energy.
Wow, that's fascinating, but kind of frustrating. So what can we do about it? We can't exactly walk around in hazmat suits to avoid other people's stress, can we?
Well, that's the good news. Dr. Swart gives us some super practical tips for combating stress and that excess cortisol. First up, exercise.
Oh, exercise. I knew you were going to say that.
I know, but it's true. When you exercise, your body actually releases those feel-good endorphins that help counteract the effects of cortisol.
Okay, that makes sense. So sweat out the stress, literally.
Exactly. And the other thing she recommends is journaling. Getting all those thoughts and feelings out of your head and onto paper can be incredibly therapeutic.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Something about externalizing it.
Exactly. It's like you're giving your brain a chance to process everything and let it go.
I like it. So simple, yet so effective.
Right. Small changes can make a world of difference. Okay, so we've talked about how stress is basically contagious. But Dr. Swart doesn't just leave us there in a puddle of cortisol. She also dives into this whole other fascinating concept, neuroplasticity. It's basically the idea that our brains can change and adapt throughout our lives. I don't know about you, but I kind of had this idea that we were stuck with the brain we were born with, like it was this static thing.
Right, like your brain is fully cooked by the time you're 25 or something.
Exactly. But it turns out that's totally not true. Our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on our experiences and what we expose ourselves to.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's like we have so much more control over our brains and our lives than we realize.
Right. And she gives all these cool examples, like people who could literally lift weights with their minds just by imagining it.
I read about that. It's incredible how powerful our minds can be. And it's not just about, superhuman feats of strength. Even simple things like learning a new language or picking up a new hobby can actually change the physical structure of our brains.
It's mind-blowing. So how do we actually tap into this neuroplasticity thing? Like, what are the steps to rewire our brains for the better?
Well, Dr. Swill breaks it down into a 3-step process. First, you have to become aware of the habit or thought pattern you want to change. Let's say you're trying to stop procrastinating, for example.
Okay, so awareness is step 1. Got it. What's next?
Then you have to focus on the consequences of that habit. Like, how is procrastinating actually impacting your life? Is it causing you stress? Making you miss deadlines, that kind of thing.
Right, so really feeling the negative effects.
Exactly. And then the final step is to replace that old habit with a new, more positive one. So instead of scrolling through social media when you should be working, maybe you set a timer for 25 minutes and just focus on your task.
And over time, with consistent practice, our brains will start to rewire themselves to make that new habit more automatic.
Exactly. Dr. Swart talks about how it's like creating new pathways in the brain. And the more we use those pathways, the stronger they become.
That's such a cool way to think about it. So we really can teach ourselves new tricks. But it does take effort, right? Consistent effort.
It does. Dr. Swart emphasizes the importance of accountability and support. Having someone to check in with, like a coach or a friend, can make a huge difference in staying motivated and on track.
That makes sense. We're not in this alone. You know, it's funny. We've been talking about all this cutting-edge science, but Dr. Swart also brings in this really interesting element of ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
Like she talks about how our beliefs can actually impact our physical reality.
Oh, I'm totally fascinated by that. Like the whole mind-body connection.
Exactly. She even tells this story about how her optician told her she was going to need reading glasses soon, and she basically refused to accept it.
What happened?
Her eyesight improved. She's like, nope, not having it.
That's amazing. It reminds me of that study she talks about with those octogenarians who were basically tricked into feeling younger.
Oh, yeah. They put them in this whole environment designed to feel like it was 20 years earlier, and they actually started showing physical improvements. Like their grip strength increased, their posture got better. It's wild.
It really makes you wonder, like, how much of aging is all in our minds? You know, if we believe we're supposed to slow down and decline, maybe our bodies just follow suit.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And think about all those things we tell ourselves, like, oh, I'm just not a math person, or I'm so bad with names.
Totally. It's like we're literally programming our own limitations without even realizing it.
Exactly. But the good news is Dr. Swart says we can reprogram those beliefs. One of the things she recommends is spending just 5 minutes a day visualizing your ideal life.
Oh, I love that. Like a mini meditation, but with a purpose.
Yes, and the key is to really feel it, like engage all your senses. Imagine yourself achieving your goals, feeling happy and fulfilled, really embodying that energy.
So powerful. Because if we can see it and feel it in our minds, it's like we're sending a powerful message to our subconscious, right? Making it more likely to happen.
Exactly. And, you know, when I think about everything we've discussed today, from stress contagions to rewiring our brains to the power of visualization, it really feels like we have so much more control over our well-being than we often realize.
Absolutely. It's empowering. It's like Dr. Swart has given us this incredible toolkit to create a life we love from the inside out.
Totally. And on that note, she leaves us with this really thought-provoking question. What could you choose to change and choose to feel great about? Something to ponder this week, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's all about making those conscious choices one step at a time.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's it for our deep dive into the brilliant mind of Dr. Tara Swart. We'll be back next week with another fascinating guest and another opportunity to unlock your potential. Until then, take care and keep those minds open.